Last day of the league stage, and it is a dead rubber between India and Sri Lanka here at Leeds. It is also the venue for Afghanistan and West Indies. The game happened here on Thursday, which is why this will be a used pitch. How it might impact the two sides, we'll talk about that in just a bit. But the fact of the matter is that these last 3-4 days have all been about dead rubbers, which is a good thing because it's just the last 3-4 days. Even on Friday, we had Bangladesh versus Pakistan at Lords. Barring some crazy mathematics, that was also a dead rubber. Talking about India, Sri Lanka, then the big question mark, of course, Mayank Agarwal has joined the Indian team in Leeds. Perhaps you saw his pictures on Instagram. And the big question mark, of course, will he play or will he not? Logic or cricket providence says he should not because KL Rahul just got a half century and Rishabh Pant looked good. And Dinesh Karthik, you can't, after a guy who's waited so many years, almost 9 years for a World Cup chance, you just can't bench him after one game.
Absolutely true. And if you gauge anything by India's practice session, you'll get to know that Mayank Agarwal's role was merely restricted to doing a little bit of fielding drills. I mean, in the nets, it was again the likes of KL Rahul, Rishabh Pant, Virat Kohli who did most of the batting in what was supposed to be an optional session. But yeah, I mean, last two games, KL Rahul, especially that dismissal against England, you knew that probably he needed one good score, which he got in the previous game against Bangladesh. So yeah, although it might be a dead rubber, there might be a few tinkerings for India to do, but one of the tinkerings which I don't see happening is definitely Mayank Agarwal getting a game. So,
well, you mentioned those tinkerings, and let's talk about what those tinkerings could be. Mostly pertain to the bowling lineup because they played three pacers, just one spinner, Hardik Pandya, and no Kedar Jadhav. Assuming that they play with the same batting lineup, there will not be any space for Kedar Jadhav, who along with Mayank Agarwal was busy doing the fielding drills. But when you're talking about the bowling lineup, three pacers, do you think that India could repeat that three pacer tactic on Saturday? Because as things stand, unless, there's also the last game, that is Australia versus South Africa, also on Saturday, while India will be playing. Unless Australia lose to South Africa, India are going to be playing England in Edgbaston, Birmingham. That's the semi-final on Thursday. And that's the big question mark. Did India regret playing those two wrist spinners against England? And did playing three pacers against Sri Lanka an indicator of the strategy that they were perhaps trying to experiment for this England semi-final?
Like you said, it's a used pitch, so obviously it might not be as quick as probably a pitch on which a first game is being played. That being said, I think that against Sri Lanka, you would probably want to rest one of the pace bowlers and probably get somebody like, if not Kuldeep Yadav, then definitely Ravindra Jadeja. He's been bowling in the nets for quite a while and, he's been doing some batting as well. But yeah, on current form, there was absolutely, if you're Virat Kohli, you would definitely be tempted to play both your wrist spinners. But since India have gotten over that combination, like you said, playing three pacers in the previous game, it could be a strong possibility that, Ravindra Jadeja gets this game. And you never know, it might just boil down to one of those pitches in Edgbaston or Manchester, depending where a left-arm spinner who could also do some pinch hitting down the order might come handy for India.
That's a very good point because with Jadeja, like you said, with the pinch hitting, he comes in, he gets that extra depth to the batting. It comes down to the fact, how many deliveries does Dinesh Karthik get to play at the end of the order at number 7? But if you have somebody like Jadeja, who's a better batsman, they say perhaps Chahal or Kuldeep, but he also provides you that spin angle. So if Dinesh Karthik is playing 10 deliveries and Jadeja is playing 10 deliveries, maybe the run difference might just come down to say 5 or 6 runs, which can also be made up by the top order. So in a way, when you say that, yes, three pacers is a possibility for the semi-final, perhaps not for the game against Sri Lanka, but then preparing Jadeja, if they want to play him in that semi-final with three pacers, Hardik Pandya, Chahal and Jadeja at number 7, it could be a possibility. Lot of tick marks, like you said, for India to check off, especially when they're preparing for that semi-final, which is expected to be against England, but we'll just wait to see if it's against New Zealand in Manchester as well, depending on the Australia-South Africa game. But last word for Sri Lanka, not a complete disappointment. A lot of people didn't expect them to win even a single game in this tournament, but they have played bravely. They were inches away from qualification for the semi-final. They had a couple of washouts in Bristol against Pakistan and against Bangladesh. But even then, they fought, beat England, which livened up this tournament. So a lot of credit does go to Sri Lanka with the manner that they have played in this World Cup.
Beating England, like you said, probably it was their moment in the sun, and yeah, it has been a bit of a good performance, I would say. Yes, they have been eliminated and everything, but I personally had them one of the first two teams to be eliminated. But for them to go, for them to last this long, and I mean they've had their moments. That first ball wicket from Angelo Matthews, then Avishka Fernando getting that 100, Lasith Malinga, just bringing back those glory days with those toe-crushing Yorkers. So yeah, probably the few positives that Sri Lanka have had, this might be a good platform for them to prepare and build a strong team for the next World Cup. Again, 4 years down the line, plenty can change till then. But yeah, they would definitely be looking to go out on a high.
Well, Sri Lanka not the only side you would expect, you would expect to club them together with somebody like Afghanistan and West Indies. All of those teams punched up above their weight. This is the final bout for Sri Lanka in this 2019 Cricket World Cup. It's India versus Sri Lanka. It's at Leeds on Saturday.